But, you know, I believed it wouldn't, I believed that there was a line he wouldn't cross again, and that was it.
And so you stayed, correct? You stayed in the relationship?
Yes.
Okay. So, is this a good time? You wanted to break?
Keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
So could you please
Hello.
describe for the jury the evolution of your relationship after that time with Johnny?
I don't know how long it was until things got bad again. He did start drinking again. I remember it was almost, you know, he'd start drinking again, the disappearing thing, the coming back. He'd come back like in the middle of the night to my house. And it would be unclear to me, you know, drunk, often really drunk, and kind of accusing me, but not directly. Nothing was very direct. It was a lot of accusations, but they were veiled. You know, what I was wearing, who I was with, why didn't I text him back? If I didn't text him back right away, this is when I was at my place in Orange, sometimes he would show up to catch me. Like that was a pretext for coming over, and by the time we were done talking, I would have thought I had convinced him that I loved him, that I only loved him, there was no one else, and then that we were back in an upswing and would go back to good, loving, like sick, romantic love, like kind, sweet, velvety love. And then it would be something I said, why did you say it that way? You know, if I had to leave for an audition, I could guarantee that when couldn't guarantee, but 2 of those in a row, and when I came back, he was angry at me, you know, and I wouldn't necessarily know why. And then he started accusing me of things, probably, like, at first it was indirect, and then it became really direct. Then the punching of the walls next to my head, which is a constant at that time in 2012 when he was drinking. Eventually that became, you know, him accusing me of cheating. I'd defend myself. I'd say, you know, that's crazy. You're wrong. I would never. The normal things. And it would escalate to the point where he would push me or shove me down, and then I'd get back up. And this happened several times. That's why it's not more specific, I suppose. When I get back up, I'd look him in the eye. I made a point of getting up and looking him in the eye. It's my way of defending myself at that time. And I'd look at him, and he'd ask me if I wanted to go again, and shove me back down. Eventually, he just hit me. Remember, he hit me in the face when I denied having an affair with my ex-wife, my ex-partner at the time.
What?
And he said he had proof. I denied it. And I was walking out of the bedroom, slapped me across the face. I turned to look at him, and I said, Johnny, you hit me. You just hit me.
I'm going to ask you, Michelle, can you bring up 1783, please?
What number again, please?
I'm sorry,
What number?
defendants 1783?
1783, thank you.
Man, this is gonna be a long ass week for Amber.
Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
And could you tell us what it is?
It's a picture of my face with a note that Johnny left for me by the coffee. Typically is where we'd leave notes like that.
And does this accurately depict the scene portrayed?
It was one of those scenes. As embarrassing as it sounds now, I don't know which scene this came from. There was a lot. It escalated quickly, fast, and it became.
Amber, let me ask it a different way.
Thank
you. Is this a picture of you is it an accurate picture of you?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of 1783.
Your Honor, we have an objection, and may we
Okay,
approach?
sure.
Oh my god. Okay, now it's gonna take longest of times. Actually, great. I can just set up the other scene for the big screen that they have. Mm-mm. Maybe I can play some music in the background. Oh, oh, we like bum bum do bum yo. Eh. Mi sete, mi sete, mi sete. Yo. Oh, they're actually back quite fast.
Please
Okay.
describe for the jury some of the cycles you had with Mr. Dutch in 2012.
So, 2012, violence was, you know, relative to what it became, pretty slapping, backhanding. Well, it went from this eggshell kind of, you're walking on eggshells, nothing you're doing is kind of right, but you don't know what you're doing wrong. And then I was doing something wrong clearly, but it was unclear within the scope of an argument what I was defending myself against. So it would shift from a rumor he had heard that I was with a friend, or I had been photographed standing too close to a male person. That was a person I had had something with, and I was lying to him about, and it would be eggshells, accusations, and then he would explode. It started with throwing things, destroying the property, and screaming at me. I remember the screaming at me.
Oh, what? Oh. Fuck.
About start another one, and nothing I could do to calm him down. It seemed like I'd walk away, and that would make it worse. I remember in my apartment in Orange, he would grab me by the hair, or he'd grab me by the arm, pull me into him, scream at me that way. He'd smash things around me, then he would smash things very close to me, and then he would just hit me. And it started with slapping, and it got to be like repetitive slaps where he'd hold me in a position and slap me multiple times in a row. Then it would be, eventually I later would either push him off of me, or I'd try to hit his hands away from me. I'd try to, not in 2012 so much. At that time, I was mostly, my defense was, I'd go some other place. Like, I don't know how to describe that. I'd focus on something else. I'd stand up, look at him, try to stand up to him that way. Later, I adopted other kind of strategies to deal with it, but at the time in 2012, he'd have this blowout, and then he would leave, disappear, and I'd be
Disappear.
not talking to him. I'm done with this relationship. I can't take it anymore. I said that so many times. And then he'd come back, clean and sober, telling me either he had a chip. He didn't have any chips, but he would say, I've gone to meetings. I have a sober companion now. I'm doing this program. I'm reading this. I'm doing this. And he was done with drugs and alcohol for good this time.
Oh, come on.
And he'd come back in my life, and with the combination of him being sober and having gone through this horrible thing where I felt like my heart ripped out of my chest, like a relationship ending is hard, I think, for anyone, but ending under that circumstance is really painful. And so when he'd come back, it would almost feel like a salve a solution to that, and it would feel great, and we would be good again, and he'd be extra nice and extra apologetic and extra loving, and and we'd be back in the good bubble, the warm glow. And eventually it'd get bored, and then I'd see him drinking again. When I started to get upset, noticing the pattern of the violence going with the drinking and drugs, then he started sneaking it. So it became less clear, and I'd have to look for clues as to what he was on. So I just knew how to react, you know? Johnny on speed is very different from Johnny on opiates. Johnny on opiates very different from
Yeah.
Adderall.
I don't understand how
cocaine
that
Johnny,
matters.
Which is very different from Quaaludes Johnny. But I had to get good at paying attention to the different versions. 2012, I was in the beginning stages of this, just learning these patterns. I was just learning that drinking kind of correlated with the violence.
And did you confide in anyone about these issues you were having? I think she can
Objection,
say if
hearsay?
I think she can say if she told anybody.
As long as she doesn't say what she said.
Right, right. So did you tell anyone?
Yes, I did.
Who did you tell?
I told my therapist. I eventually told my mom.
And let's go ahead and take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 150. 150.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on hearsay.
Oh, everything's a fucking hearsay, bro. What is even hearsay? Out of court statement. Wait, what? Okay, so I see.
Прыгай в мой фургон танцпол. Drink shot, fireball, drink it all. Dance all the night, guys, gangsta paradise. Absolute hardbass, Russian Patin КамАЗ. Russian Patin КамАЗ.
I like how Johnny just sits there, ice cold, with the just fucking drawing something or writing something down. He knows that the case is actually over, and it's just a matter of time how many questions the defense has to prolong the case, maybe get her sentence lowered.
You so sexy Russian girl. Прыгай в мой фургон танцпол. Drink shot, fireball, drink it all. Dance all the night, guys, gangsta paradise.
While that shit happens, let me fix my goddamn camera. Okay, that's better. Well, no, why does the oh, hello. Okay, that's actually better. Okay, now I just need to redo the filter.
Russian village boys. I don't care where are you from.
Let's destroy your fucking home. Nah, that's too much.
Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Раз, два, три. Погнали. Russian gang, here we go. Every weekend make a bomb. Our bass inside your soul and your mind get blown. Village voice и диджей, блядь, он разрывает ваши хаты. Да нам просто поебать. Скажем вместе, сука,
Did
блядь.
you decide to confide in your mother
Mm-hmm.
about the issues you were having with Mr. Depp?
I think I felt safe talking to my mom because I knew that she understood these dynamics and she wouldn't judge me
Do I have to play with the
for
light now?
staying with him, for loving him, even though this was happening and was happening to me. I knew she would understand.
And when approximately did you start confiding in your mom about your issues with Mr. Depp and the physical abuse?
Objection, hearsay, compound.
I sustain as to compound.
When did you start confiding in your mother about the abuse you were suffering at the hands of Mr. Depp?
I was confiding in her from the very beginning about the abuse, the psychological abuse, the kind of control, the disappearing, the not knowing where he was, then he'd come back and sometimes in the middle of the night, the constant accusations, like that sort of thing. I talked to her about probably from the very beginning. The fact that I was secret, I had to hide. Couldn't
She's
tell
talking
anyone.
like
My
they're a
friends, I
married
was
couple.
with him for a long
When
time.
she said
He told me everyone would blame me for the split with him and his partner.
that
so
they
I
had
kind
to
of
keep
sneak
it
around and
secret.
kinda get brought to his house, typically in a
Were they
secretive
sleep-
way,
oh.
and then he'd come to mine in a secretive way, and it was just all very, so very isolating. And, I confided with her at the very beginning on that sort of thing, and then later opened up to her about some of the violence. I did it gently. First I just wanted to have someone to talk to about how scary it was. The rage and the uncontrolled violence, the rage that this man had, and why it was
Objection,
pointed
Your
at
Honor,
me.
hearsay. May we approach, please?
Oh my. I mean, yeah, her mother and the whole interaction with her mother is out of court, so she's not allowed to mention her mom at all or anything that was talked between them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take our 15-minute afternoon break, so please do not talk about the case or do any outside research, okay? We'll see you soon.
You're fucking joking. God damn it. Whatever. Okay, what are we gonna do for 15 minutes?
All right. And Ms. Hurd, just a reminder that now that you're on the stand, you cannot discuss your testimony with anybody to include your attorneys, okay? All right, so we'll be back. Let's make it 3:45, okay?
Thank you.
3:45. Thank you.
45, bro. That's 18. Oh my god. Oh man. Oh, my bad. Delete that. We don't need that. We don't need this. Hello. There we go. Okay. Can I play something maybe? Let me see. Fuck it. Oh my god. Alright, let's do some warm-ups. Hi. Bro, on God. You know what? Yeah, fuck it. Oh, 84, bro. My accuracy is way down the drain. I used to be on 95, 94. It's better, bro. No way. Oh. Okay, hold up. I'm way too tense for this. Oh. 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 How much more? 10 more minutes, bro. Oh my god. Okay, let's do some checking. Wait, what? No, Emerald is on. Is it? Wait, what? Where can I see the? My flicking is 100 apparently. Jesus fuck. No. Where can I see the fucking ranks? Whatever. Ruby, Diamond, Grandmaster, Emerald. Okay, so I am higher than I was. Oh! Oh! I had no idea. Okay, so I need to work on my speed and cognition apparently. And precision. 19,000. Oh my god. Okay. Let's. How about we watch?
I can't.
Ray, shut the fuck up and make space on site.
Hmm.
No, it's not. Don't keep with anyone. Fucking retards. Holy shit.
Hey yo.
Fucking moron. Don't create any space in this hot crime.
Damn.
I love myself.
All right, we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great.
Yo, they back. Okay, they back.
Let's go.
Okay, let's see what they got to say. Why are they waiting like this?
All right, thank you. Please be seated. Your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Amber, I'm going to take you up to March of 2013. Can you describe your relationship with Mr. Depp during that month? And we'll start there.
I remember it was after a period of really, it was after a period of some peace, and then in sobriety, Johnny was sober, drinking Beck's, and my dad, who was struggling with alcohol and drug addiction at the time, had fallen off the wagon, and I remember he said, "Why don't we I want to send a picture to your dad of support," because my sister was upset with my dad, and so he poured a shot and kind of said, "Let's take a picture." I don't drink spirits, but I know that, I kind of held up in that picture. It's kind of eerie because I just think it's bizarre. He had broken this long period of sobriety that I thought was going to be the end of him drinking forever. Sounds foolish now, but I, held up this kind of glass with him, and we sent the picture to my dad because, I didn't know what else to do. And I remember thinking it was weird that he was drinking. And then the month got really crazy from that point on. It was a bit of a revolving door of accusations. He was accusing me of having affairs with, frankly, just one person. I had an acquaintance with somebody, and he was accusing me of being with them, and then it was accusing me of being with my friend, the one I had seen in Spain. I'm, in these kind of arguments, nothing I do is working. Walking out of the room is me leaving him, walking away from me. Hey, where are you going? I'm talking to you. That it went from that to pulling me in by my arm, still shouting at about the accusations. I'm trying to diffuse the situation by trying to tell him I'm not sleeping with this person and I'm not sleeping with that person. And it was kind of, as soon as it seemed as though I had convinced him of one, there was somebody else he was sure I was sleeping with. And it was a revolving door at that time. A painting I had hanging on the wall, done by my ex, who's an artist. That was, one day he was convinced that was proof I was sleeping with her, or having an affair with her. I didn't really love him, and all the while I'm madly in love with him and trying to convince him. So March started with this picture of him doing a shot, and he's kind of saying, let's send it to your dad to show support. And what I remember of March is just like it's almost like it was a never-ending fight. It was just, there were breaks in it. What kept me in it is because I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, the sobriety shoe, if you will. I kept waiting for him to get to the point where it's not supportable or anymore, and he's done with it, and he's ready to get clean and sober again, because there commences a period of like pure joy. And it was one fight after the other, March.
So let me start with the painting incident. Please tell the jury what happened on that particular incident with the painting.
As I mentioned, the painting, which had been hanging there for months, one day he kind of stayed up doing cocaine, just drinking, doing cocaine, music, which is not in and of itself that weird in my relationship with Johnny at this point. Like he stays up and keeps weird hours and smokes and stuff. But he was drinking brown liquor and doing a lot of cocaine, and it was like, it became clear to me in that argument, if you will, that he wasn't making sense. He had effectively just taken, it seemed like, a turn and had decided that the painting was an offense that he could not forgive me for. It meant I was having an affair with my ex-partner, with whom I had already split, and it made no sense to me. So I'm trying to kind of quell the accusations by saying, it's been there, and what are you talking about? And it's like, that doesn't mean anything. And, he was demanding I take it down. He eventually takes it down and tries to burn it, but it was unsuccessful, luckily, because he was not, he wasn't, with one of those normal, what do you call them, Bic lighters, he wasn't very successful at doing it while drinking, to the extent he was. But I remember it was this kind of ridiculous fight, like didn't feel like it needed to be an argument, but it seemed like nothing I could do, nothing I could say. I tried leaving. I left the room. I left the house. I eventually came back. It was like a whole night, an evening, a night, and then a morning of this. So this morning in particular, I think it was the 22nd of March. There were several incidents in March, though. But in this particular one, he had something to go to. He was filming with Keith Richards and Tom Waits.
Well, let me, before you go into that part, let's pull up Defendant's Exhibit 161.
Okay.
Which is already admitted into evidence, I believe, Your Honor.
Yes, 161 with redactions.
Thank you. And I'm going to show you Defendant's Exhibit 161. And the date on this is 3/12/2013, and it's a text exchange between you and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. And the first one is from you to Mr. Depp. Just thought you should know there exists a book. Is that to you? Is it to Mr. Depp from you, or it's vice versa?
It's Johnny texting me.
Just thought you should know there exists a book titled Disco Bloodbath. And then you say, we need that book. And you say, is this about last Friday night by any chance? And he says, how can you make me smile about such a hideous moment? And I'm not going to repeat the rest of it. Could you tell the jury what happened on that Friday night?
Johnny doesn't give a shit, bro. Just fucking doodling on his little notes.
Incidents in March. I believe this one happened in the Eastern Columbia building, which are one of Johnny's penthouses. They're in downtown, so a different part of Los Angeles. And we'd sometimes go there. I remember he was accusing me again of sleeping with this artist, this musician who I'd never slept with. I was denying it. I barely knew the person. And then he was accusing me of sleeping with my friend in Spain. And I remember nothing I could do. He like called this person on the phone and screamed at him. He didn't speak English, so he was really confused as to what he was being yelled at by Johnny. But I remember those were the accusations. That was the fight. But it was one to the next accusation. And I remember I was kind of doing that juggling act. I was in one of these fights, I believe it's this one, in his downtown ECB, we call it, loft. And we're in the kitchen living room area, and he backhands me. And, you know.
Out of nowhere.
It was, you know, he wears a lot of rings. I remember kind of just feeling like my lip went into my teeth, and it got a little blood on the wall. Just that simple, a little bit of blood on the wall. As hard as it is to explain this, I was so caught up in the relationship and also very occupied in defending what I only could assume he believed, these accusations, that, you know, I didn't internalize, like, I didn't make that big of a deal of it. I kind of pride myself on being tough, and, you know, I don't make a big deal out of, you know, smaller injuries. And I know that sounds horrible because and hard maybe to understand, but my best way to cope with it is I kind of, you know, minimize it, make sure no one, make sure he knows that I'm tough and can't knock me down, and
Yes.
clearly make light.
So the reason why she stayed with Johnny was because she wanted to prove that she's tough
Take this one down
and receive more beating.
170A.
Jesus Christ.
Did there come a time in March, Amber, where you sent a picture to your mom?
Yes, this is sometime in March 2013. I sent it to her because I had been texting about some of the craziness, and
Objection, hearsay.
Yeah, I mean,
Sustain as to what she may have texted. All right, next question.
Without saying what you said in the text, explain why you were sending it to your mom.
I was reaching out. I was very lonely in what I was living in. And
I don't know why the lawyer keeps asking about the
I just wanted
conversation they had
to
between her and her mom, because everything is hearsay.
figure out how I could make this stop.
And is this a picture that you took of yourself in March of 2013?
I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 170A.
Any objection?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, 170A in evidence. You can publish.
Did they even explain to whoever takes the stand what hearsay is? Because goddamn.
And how did you sustain that bruise, Amber?
Is that?
I had thrown Johnny slapped me. I walked away from him, and that made it worse. we got into like a shouting match. And he kind of did this thing with his body where I could tell he was going to hit me again. I picked up I remember it kind of like a little pot, not a pot, but like a vase. And I remember I got away from him enough as he reels back. I threw it in his direction, and I actually managed to get away before he got me. He grabbed me by the arm,
That kind of didn't.
and he kind of just held
Kinda
me on the
didn't
floor,
look like
screaming at
her.
me. I don't know how many times he hit me in the face.
Might be wrong.
But, I remember being on the floor of my apartment, and I remember thinking, how could this happen to me again?
Can you bring up 170?
Because you're dumb. Okay, she went through some bullshit, okay? She did some bullshit, she received some bullshit. Don't you?
Thank you, Michelle. And if we can, and just for...
It's like, why are you still with him?
2013, and if we can scroll up. This is a text message exchange with your mom, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's go, scroll down.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to hearsay.
Let's wait until we get to the spot. All right, and
Well, it's written
is this
text.
the picture that you sent to your mom on 3/23/2013?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of 170, just that picture that's on the text. Along
With no words?
Well, it says from 2 weeks ago on it.
Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
If we redact the from 2 weeks ago, can we admit it then? And then just have the showing that she sent it to her mom
May
for
we
the
approach,
date?
Your Honor?
Okay.
Oh my god. How? They are so unprepared for this bullshit.
All right, 170 will be in evidence with redactions.
And may we publish to the jury, please? And that's the picture you sent to your mom
Yes, it is.
on March 23rd, 2013?
Yes, it was from a previous fight,
Okay.
the bruise.
All right. Now, did you have any other altercations in March 2013 with Mr. Depp?
Yes, we had a couple of these fights in Orange that were around this time, one of which I started to tell you about the painting.
You know, and I know I've interrupted you now twice on that, but I realize the jury doesn't. Can you tell them what you mean by orange, at Orange?
Sorry, Orange was my apartment that I kept in Los Angeles at the time.
And it was an apartment. What type of an apartment?
I rented the top of a duplex, so it was a house with the landlord living on the bottom floor. I rented the top floor.
Okay, thank you. Now, please continue with the painting. I'm sorry.
It seemed like nothing I could say to Johnny would convince him. He wanted me to remove the painting. And he wanted me to admit to this affair that I wasn't having. And I didn't want to admit to it because it's not true. So I held out, and he just drank more and did more cocaine. And I woke up the next morning, I think it was on the 22nd or the 23rd. I woke up in the morning and the breakfast table was like cocaine and booze. And I realized that I
How many
wasn't gonna be
times did
able
you
to
realize
talk
that you were in
I wasn't gonna be able
trouble?
to talk our situation down. I wasn't gonna be able to talk him out of it, and he was just so convinced that I was fighting with him, or at the reason that he wouldn't leave the house, and he had something to go film that was important, and there were important people waiting for him. And I remember people were reaching out, his assistants, his manager sister, you know, everyone was wondering where he was, and I kept feeling embarrassed and unable to move this person out of my house. I couldn't calm him down. I couldn't change. He was just so intent on me admitting the details of this affair that I wasn't having. And me pointing out that the cocaine wasn't making his situation any better made me the bad cop. Then I'm the nag. So eventually I called my sister. He had a kind of a buddy-buddy relationship with her at the time. And at the time, she occasionally did cocaine. I didn't, but she did. So I was like, hey, come take over. You know, maybe you can buddy-buddy him and talk him into leaving the house, just getting out of the house.
And she said,
And she did.
objection, hearsay.
I remember
Oh, okay.
his assistants
Nice.
trying to get him out. Like, we eventually in the evening, I think early evening, he finally agrees to leave, but I can't tell our relationship status. I can't tell if he still is convinced of these things or if he's just going to sleep it off and it's going to go back to normal sobriety, sorry kind of phase. And he was still upset, but like seemingly calming down. So I agreed to go with him. He wanted me to go to the shoot. I had plans, so I kind of reluctantly agreed, but didn't want to set anything off. I didn't want to engage anymore. I didn't want to do anything that could be perceived as antagonizing him or engaging more. So I went with him. We grabbed the dogs. We get in the car. We're on the way there. We're headed up. Sweetser's the street. It's a major street that leads up to Johnny's houses. He effectively owns the end of the street. It's like a cul-de-sac. So we're
Okay.
nowhere near his home, but we were driving up this street, and he has the window down. He's smoking. It wasn't all the way down, but, you know, he's constantly smoking, and at some point he starts howling out of the window and then grabs two small dogs. Well, one was Johnny's dog and one was my dog, but he grabs, if I remember correctly, Boo, his dog, slightly chunkier teacup Yorkie, and he grabs this teacup Yorkie and holds Boo out of the window of the moving car. And he's howling like an animal while holding the dog out of the window. And everyone in the car, I'll never forget it, everyone just froze. No one did anything. And I too was like torn as to what I should do, because I didn't want to do anything to cause him to react, drop the dog. You know, it was just this eerie moment where he's howling and holding this animal outside of the car window. And more than that weird memory is more than that weird memory, I have a memory of everyone just kind of not really reacting to him. Like no one really kind of did anything. I eventually kind of pulled his arms gently back into vehicle and kind of got the dog back on the seat, and we continued driving, but no one reacted. It just kind of avoided dealing with it. We get to the place, the house where he was filming this thing that he was late for, I suppose, for the day. And we walk in. Meanwhile, I've been bombarded by text messages and calls and conversations with everyone seemingly so stressed about.
Objection, hearsay.
All right.
Just don't tell us what somebody else said, just what you observed.
I understood everyone was stressed. They seemed stressed to me about the tardiness. Where is he? Let's get him there, so we get him there. And no one reacts when we get in. I mean, we walk into this house where everyone was waiting for him, and everyone smiles and says, hey, boss.
Objection, hearsay.
Okay.
Oh my God! Stop saying she said, he said. Just.
7.
Oh my God, bro.
I think is B the one that's in? 167B is already in, right? Oh, it's A. Okay, then go ahead and pull up A. Does Your Honor show that one to be in 167A? Defendants, I'm sorry.
Well, this might be your 167A, but it's in evidence as a plaintiff's number, and I'm not sure which plaintiff's number it is. I don't need it in twice, so.
I would agree. Do we?
Your Honor, I don't think it's this version of the photograph that's been admitted, so it's a
different version.
it's a
Same
different-
photograph, but a little different, is that what we're?
it's not the same photograph.
Okay, not the same
right, well
photograph,
then-
then we'll go with it. Then what
Okay.
number is it?
Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, I do.
Please tell the jury what it is.
It's a picture I took of my breakfast table that morning.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 167A.
167A, any objection?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Sure.
Oh, they're inventing. They're adding new evidence. It's not nice.
So may we publish that? Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, and Amber, you said that you took this that morning, is that
Yes.
correct? Could you tell the jury what the box is that has the property with the skull bones, property of JD?
That's Johnny's drug box. I've seen it used for pills, but at the time it was bags of Coke, like dime bags of Coke.
Okay, and what are these white lines on the table to the left of that box?
That is cocaine.
Okay. And do you know what is in these two glasses that have kind of a gold-colored liquor?
That looks like
They're
wine.
different, actually. It's confusing. They're different. Different liquids. The one in the back in the larger glass is, I believe at the time I was doing these tabs, they're Barocca, that's what they're called. They're little tablets. And anyway, I remember at the time that that's what I was putting in my water because I had just come back from France where they sell them. And then the brown liquid in the shot glass is Johnny's liquor. I don't know what it's called, but we kept it in the freezer. At the time, it was at that time, March
Okay.
2013.
It's rakia, obviously.
I still didn't have the, hard line. I won't even keep that, in my freezer sort of attitude or posture with him. I wasn't that bold at the time, I didn't like it, but I didn't have that strength. I kind of, at that time, I think was doing things like trying to pour it out when I could.
So what is the bag, the brown bag on the left side? What is that?
That's a
It's
doc
a
kit.
bag.
It's like, his prescriptions and cigarette, tobacco, weed, things like that.
Okay, and then above it, there appears to be a CD of some sort, DVD, something. Do you recognize that?
Yes, it's the single, I believe is what it's called, the single he was making at the time. I think that's the song that they were filming a video for, if I'm correct.
Okay. All right. Now, did you end up sending a copy of this picture to Rocky Pennington that day?
I did. I sent it to my best friend at the time, and it was like, look at my morning.
Objection, hearsay.
Okay, you can't say what you said, but you sent it to your friend, correct?
I
Let's
sent
go
it
to
to my friend.
167, please.
It pains, bro.
And is that the email in which you sent this picture to Rocky Pennington on 3/22?
Yes.
2013? Your Honor, I'd like to move the admission of the picture with the redaction of the message on it, with the top with identifier redactions, and we take out the rest of it.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, so we'll do those redactions, 167 and evidence with redactions.
All right. And may we publish, please? All right, and is this the text message, the email that you sent to Rocky with this picture?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to take you to, let's go to Hicksville. Let's tell the jury about Hicksville, May 2013. Can you tell the jury what transpired at Hicksville?
It is it's like a fancy trailer park, like a little hotel in the middle of nowhere, set up with these little trailers, and we had made a plan to go there with friends, and we were going to do, like Laffy, as we said, Laffy drugs, like mushrooms, eat mushrooms, sit by a campfire. There's really not a whole lot else to do out there. It's like a getaway. We had made this plan, and it was going fine. It was like a, kind of like a party out in the desert, with a few friends and campfire and music. And I don't know somebody brought MDMA. It was being passed around, and somebody who took it kind of was starting to feel the effects of it, I guess is the best way to describe. She kind of reacted in this way where when the MDMA hit her, she kind of, we were sitting around a campfire, all of us, and she kind of just leaned into me and put her, head on my shoulder and kind of grabbed my arm. I took it, to be the effects of the drug. And I think I had eaten a mushroom cap, but was not feeling anything at the time. I don't remember feeling anything, because the night just kind of changed pretty dramatically before I really felt anything of the effects of that. But that was the environment we were in, and as soon as she kind of did this thing where she leaned into me, Johnny gets really activated. He gets really upset, and he starts. Well, at first she thought he was kidding too. She thought he was kind of making a joke. I think we all did. Everyone kind of responded at first, you know, that like it was a joke. But he was like, "Hey man, what are you doing? You know, what do you think you're doing?" And she kind of giggled and kind of leaned into me more, and I knew in my body just instantly that it wasn't a joke. But she didn't. So she's kind of still attached to my arm when he says it again to her louder. He says, "Hey man, you think you're touching my fucking girl? You think you're touching my fucking girl? That's my fucking girl." And he gets louder and louder, and she kind of
Wait, why is this not
half
hearsay?
understanding what was going on. I think she kind of started to cry at this point, but she kind of threw up her hands, and Johnny grabbed her wrist and kind of twisted it and pulled her into him and said, "Do you know how many pounds of pressure it takes to break a human wrist? Huh?" And he kind of held her, and she just looked frozen. And she's crying, and was just denying understanding what was going on. I stepped in. I kind of take Johnny's arm around, kind of take Johnny's hand, and kind of we start communicating. I don't remember if he immediately was accusing me or if it was sometime after. I wish I remembered, but we agreed that we'd go and talk about it in the trailer. So we walked to the trailer, and when we're in the trailer, Johnny, by the time we get into the trailer, Johnny tells me that I had been instigating asking for this, and that I had invited it, and that I hadn't been honest with him about my relationship with this woman. And I didn't really know her that well. I mean, I actually don't know her at all, but I had met her. And I remember in the trailer, he's accusing me of lying about it, and that I had something with her. I'm trying to diffuse that. I'm trying to calm him down. And he just turned all that, it seemed like he turned all that rage onto the trailer itself. And he just started smashing things. He picked up something on the table and threw it right into the glass cabinet. He hit with his hand a wall sconce. He cleared the tabletop on the little fold-down like kitchen dining room area in this trailer. I mean, it's a trailer, so there's only so much you can do. And he's screaming at me, screaming at me. And I eventually go back into the bedroom area. He comes into the bedroom area. We had what I can only describe as it sounded like nonsense from him. It wasn't making sense. And I realized that he's just probably really high, because it wasn't making sense anymore. It wasn't like a direct accusation. He wasn't hearing me when I was saying I wasn't involved, wasn't cheating on him. I wasn't secretly trying to engage this woman in some sort of sexual affair. And then it became clear to me he was like looking for something. He cleared things off the bed. I went into the bathroom, and as I come out, he asked me where it is and how long I've been hiding it. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "You know what I'm fucking talking about. You know what I'm fucking talking about. Be honest with me. Where are you hiding it?" And he kind of like makes to look into the bathroom. And I gestured to the bathroom, which was to my right. I kind of like gestured to him, and I said, like, what am I hiding, and where am I gonna hide it? And we're standing in this little hallway area outside of the bathroom, and he starts, what it feels like patting me down, or saying he's patting me down. I can't recall, but he ripped my dress, the strap top part of my dress. I had just dyed this thing myself pink, and it's just one of those things I was like, that's I just finished that dress. And he's like grabbing my breasts, he's touching my thighs, he rips my underwear off, and then he proceeds to do a cavity search. He said he was looking for his drugs, his cocaine, his coke. I was wondering how somebody who didn't do cocaine and was against it, that was in and of itself causing problems in our relationship. How could I hide? Why would I hide his drugs from, like he was insinuating that I was doing it or something? It made no sense. And he was telling me we're gonna conduct a cavity search, shall we? Like, just shoved his fingers inside me. I just stood there staring at the stupid light. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there.
Fucking run!
He did that.
I don't know.
Twisted his fingers around. I didn't say like stop or anything. I just.
Exactly. Like what? I don't.
So the next morning, what transpired?
I remember thinking that Johnny would change his mind.
Oh, again. After
Maybe-
30 fucking times of getting slapped.
Yeah,
And-
I thought it would end differently. I kind of froze. I don't know how
I
I went
don't
to bed
know.
that night. I don't know how I went to bed. I don't know how I slept. I don't know how we woke up. I don't remember having a conversation with him the next day. I don't remember talking to him about it or confronting him about it. I remember wanting it to be okay. I remember just wanting whatever fucking weird trip, whatever trip that was to end. Just to be over and for it
Wait,
to
I
just
think you can say cuss words.
go back to
right?
normal. And I remember.
What do you mean go
Pool.
back to normal?
There was a pool in the center of the trailer park, and I remember putting on,
Oh, run!
just putting on my face and going back into this like crap, and I remember seeing my friends by the pool thinking they were just having a great time, and no one knew what was, I felt so lonely, like no one knows everyone was just having a good time, like normal stuff. So I just smiled, made a joke about how trashed the trailer got, and we had to get the manager, who started off furious that Johnny had wrecked the thing. And then he had this like black mesh not tank top, it was like a meshy kind of shirt on. And I remember he came into the trailer and looked around and was like, whoa, what happened here? Whoa. And Johnny had an exchange with him. And I remember watching this man be so charmed. It was just a kind of a surreal experience. And, it just went away.
Whoa, dude! What the
He
hell?
walked out of the trailer at some point. My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet and went on with our, vacation. We actually went to another location after that, and then eventually went home and went about our life.
I'm going to ask you to take a look. Michelle, can you bring up Defendant's Exhibit 176?
Bro, this is terrible. she's not even making a case for herself, actually, now that I think about it.
May of 2013, did there come a time that you wrote an email?
Objection, leading, and hearsay, Your Honor. May we approach?
All right.
Oh boy. Okay, so her telling the jury that she got searched and her clothes torn and she was getting abused and saying that although every other day that she thought Johnny would change, it's like, you know, if you look at it pretty straight, like if she's being a decent human being, then it's like, oh, she believed in him and he lied and all that kind of jazz. But it happened repeatedly over
In June
2 years of
2013,
time.
How were you feeling about your
You don't-
relationship with Mr. Depp?
May we have the exhibit taken away from, thank you.
By June, I was so torn. I was so in love with this person. Because when it was good, it was so good. You've never felt love like that. At least that's how it felt. So much.
Okay, so that's not actually her fault. She got
Felt like he
in
recognized
love.
me and I recognized him. And there
Wait,
was
how
just
old is?
there that was the love of my life.
She's 36,
And he was.
and
He was. But he was also this other thing.
so
was also
she
this
was 9 years. That's
And the other
25.
thing was
This is like,
awful thing. That
oh damn,
come out
that's good fucking acting right there. Okay, that's that shit right
take
there.
over, and it was, you couldn't see the Johnny I loved underneath it. It
You can
was
see
this
all the
other
facial
thing.
expression and.
And no one told him. No one was honest with him. No one,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he'd pass out
Oh
in
damn.
his own vomit. He'd lose control of his body. He'd lose control, and everyone would clean up after him.
And
I
suddenly
cleaned up after
she
him.
stops. Oh, she cleaned
No,
up after
no,
him.
I cleaned up after
Oh, she's coming back. Okay, it's coming back. It's coming back.
He cleaned up after me.
Action!
Pants in front of me. He would pass out in his own sick. You know, and then he'd walk around saying he didn't have a problem. Until he did. Until he couldn't support it anymore, and he'd get clean and he'd get sober, and then he was this thing again. This thing that made me feel so loved, that made me feel like my
That's
my
Oscar worthy,
soulmate.
bro.
As cheesy as that sounds, I just felt like he knew me. And I recognized something in him, either some part of my makeup, of my background, or something that I just got it. And I loved him.
You're
understood him.
26,
It just got
27.
so scary.
Okay.
The other part of him. And in June, I wanted
How old is Johnny? Like 50?
wanted to leave him. I didn't want to leave him. I wanted to leave him. I wanted
58,
better.
bro.
He
He's double
expressed to me so many times when he
your
was in that
age.
period of getting clean and sober,
He's
he would tell me,
20,
"You saved my
23
life.
years older than you.
You saved my life." Everyone else was saying that to me, and I believed it. You know, if everyone else was saying it, he was saying it. I thought, just like his other friends who had gotten clean and sober and stayed that way, his older friends, these rock stars that he hung out with that had like gotten clean and sober and they had 20, 30 years, something, you know, I thought, and Johnny told me he would be that person, that he was going to be that person, and I believed it. I had so much, I looked at that man twice my age, you know, I was 25, looking at this man
Exactly.
twice my age, and I saw hope. And like
In
promise,
what?
I had so much hope.
You have
You know, the whole thing.
what, like 5 years of love experience?
Kids
You
and
have
growing old
you
together,
have
sort
no
of
idea what love is.
If it was just for this one thing that he could do,
This dude has been financing women
which was
for
basic.
as long as you're alive, and you're saying, "I experienced life."
You know,
Okay,
I wrote
bro.
this letter to myself, among many letters to myself.
Objection,
because I
hearsay.
thought,
All she did was refer to that she wrote it. She isn't saying what she said.
I'll rule for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wrote that letter because
Yeah, that's kind of
it
sus.
would be read to him. I could read it to him. I could say it to him in intervention.
Actually,
you
that
know,
was a
and
smart objection. It broke her
He would later-
her acting.
Thank me for, as he did.
Oh, no,
He
she's-
would thank me all the time for saving his life.
She's back into acting. Objection, hearsay.
Did there come a time later in
Or
June
no,
that you talked
objection.
about Johnny's kid?
Irrelevant.
Sorry. Yeah, I finally met them in the summer of 2013. I had been with Johnny for over a year, maybe like a year and a half at this point, is my best guess. And I was dying to meet them, you know, dying to get to know these kids. I felt like I knew them already. I had his daughters, and Jack's, both of his kids' art on my fridge, and I had never even met them. You know, Johnny had brought them over one day and kindly given them to me, and I had them up on my fridge because I felt like I knew them, just how much he talked about them. And I finally got to meet them at the Lone Ranger premiere at Disneyland. Summer 2013.
So then I'm going to jump to, and it's not much of a jump, to June 26, 2013. There was a plane ride to Russia with Johnny. Do you recall that?
Okay, and
Yes.
Tell the jury about that particular event.
Well, that was the first and last time I ever decided it would be a decent idea to do drugs with Johnny. I did MDMA with him on the plane, which was as stupid as it may sound. I just had never, I was very against, obviously the cocaine had been a problem. I was very much against him using
all right.
cocaine.
So
I was against
she's with
drinking,
this
supportive of the
on and off
sobriety,
alcoholic and drug addict,
but
and
I'm 20.
he says,
maybe, ish.
"I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop." He stops.
Wanted, you know,
He
I
does
had
it.
never heard of
He goes
MDMA,
back. He relapses.
like what I
Starts
was
beating her. Okay, I don't know. Starts
before,
abusing
but
her,
It's a lovey drug. It's a, you know.
and you
I
know
never knew anyone to.
the same loop
violent on it.
continues. And so now she's on the plane, and Johnny's
You know,
going back into relapse, and he offers drugs, being the gentleman he is. Not well. I don't know actually, but you know, he just offers drugs, and she's like, you know, if I join with Johnny, maybe he'll not show. If I, you know, if I indulge in his habits, maybe he'll show love.
We took MDMA. I took
Because
a capsule.
every time,
It's like a powder in a capsule. I took a capsule and
because when couples
Johnny
have
took,
problems,
several,
usually they
but, you know, it's
try
when
and
you see someone take one versus
try and
a
fix those
handful or
problems
something,
or get closer
nothing seemed to
by
set any alarm bells off, and
finding out
worked
each
all the
other's
time
hobbies and
until,
like trying them out. And so if I
so I
see
took,
a girl playing
vitamin that came
basketball
by,
just to get closer to me. You know, I would respect that. Just a try.
I don't think
Or
that they're
if
really
I see that
felt like it was
she's
before the effects of the drug.
try to
took
like
over, so it goes
sing or
soon
I
after we
don't
first
any
started
other
doing
hobby that she
photos,
has, and I join in.
and
You know, she
the
I would
flight attendant,
assume she would appreciate me as well.
Johnny offered her some. She of course said no, and then after some back and forth
And-
between them, Johnny convinced her that it would be fine. So she acquiesced and took.
Yeah.
immediate
Now
steps.
because even the whoever fucking
And, you know,
was on the
15
plane
minutes go
all
by
said
and
yes.
the same thing happened that happened on the mushrooms at Hicksville with the woman Kelly Sue, who I've told you about. Flight attendant got friendly with me, but just friendly, just like MDMA friendly. You know, was kind of, I'm a woman, he's a man, so she was naturally, I think, more comfortable with me physically. She kind of leaned into me and kind of sat on the arm of the chair I was sitting in. I mean, after all, she's on drugs, and Johnny grabs her hand and tells her not to touch me, and she kind of reacts in a way like, you know, like she's defending herself and was trying to clarify, and he grabbed her by the wrist and slammed it down on the table and told her he could break her wrist.
Okay, and
And I remember thinking, I've heard this before. And that was a pattern that would repeat itself a few times. These things would happen in these kind of cycles where there'd be a certain element that would get filtered for a while, whether it's an accusation or a gesture, and that would be the thing that he looped on. I called it loops. And he grabs her wrist and he tells her he could break her wrist. She
okay.
cries instantly, denies it, is so apologetic. Eventually he lets go. She goes to the front of the plane where the flight attendant, you know, normally hangs out, and the doors close, and I don't see her much of that whole flight. We land in Russia, and I don't really remember, you know, I don't recall any violence on the plane between Johnny and I, but I remember feeling this tension because I was wondering when it was gonna aim at me, because he had this particular thing about, well, at the time I understood he had a particular thing, a sensitivity about me and women, because I had had a female partner. So I was feeling nervous, anxious, and I remember we had a very quiet ride, at least I didn't say anything, to the ride to the hotel. And almost as soon as we get into the hotel room, Johnny's accusing me of effectively having engaged that, caused that. I, of course, deny it, point out what I thought was obvious, that, you know, we'd given her drugs, you know, wasn't an affair, you know, and I'm trying to argue and defend myself at the same
I mean,
time.
she knew that he was looping every
At one
time
point,
he took
Johnny
drugs.
shoves me,
Or
like, I mean, just
why?
that
That just shows
shoves me.
the
hard.
inexperience
Fall back onto this glass table.
or how
I catch myself
dumb she
on the
is.
table.
I mean, it's not like it's all her fault,
I
but
don't know how
Johnny's
some furniture got
being doing the
knocked
same
around.
thing over and
You know,
over and
I-
over
I'm
again,
trying
and
to
she's
stand
trying
up
to either
myself,
change
I'm
him
trying to stand up,
or-
literally. I'm not, you know, at this point, I don't even try to hit back or try to run. I'm in this hotel room trying to do my best to fight mostly the verbal accusations, but also I try to stay on my feet, you know. At some point, he whacks me in the face, and I don't remember feeling pain or like awareness of my nose or anything. I don't remember thinking that. I remember kind of crying and feeling, I went into the bathroom and I wanted him to have I just remember wanting him to realize what had happened. I wanted him to kind of snap out of it. I wanted him to care. I wanted him to realize what was
he
going on.
didn't care for 2 years. Are you
There was a
serious?
sense that he didn't know what was going on.
Am I dumb?
Again,
I'm
how
probably
much the
dumb.
drugs or alcohol is a part of this, but
Like there is no
I
way
remember crying. I came out at some point because
you would stick
I don't
in a
hear him in that
2-year
room. I remember
relationship
we had been arguing in the main room, but I went out to the hallway, which is where I presume he
Where you
walked
get
out, and his
physically
bodyguard, the
abused.
judge, was in the hall, and I don't recall seeing Johnny
and
in the
still
hallway.
believe
Seeing
tomorrow he's
the
gonna
judge.
wake up and magically
Gestured to
be the
my
man.
nose.
Objection, hearsay.
He's just saying gesture. He hasn't said anything yet.
All right, gesture's fine. I'll overrule the objection.
He gestures to my nose and holds out his handkerchief, like a cloth handkerchief. And
Okay, and
I instantly just felt really embarrassed.
yeah, you should be fucking embarrassed.
I felt ashamed.
You
I
spent
felt
2
sorry. I
years
felt like
getting physically abused and you still
I went
came
inside
back.
the room.
That's on you. I mean, John is at fault,
I had
but
a little
that's
blood
on
coming
you.
out of my nose. I didn't know it. I didn't feel it at the time
Like-
until Jerry gave me Jerry
I don't know what to
let me
say.
know. And I went inside the hotel room, and it, as embarrassing as it is, I remember just wanting. I remember just wanting Johnny to say sorry. I wanted him to realize it. It's so stupid, but I like the emotional part. You know, I just wanted him to acknowledge that this was that he could hurt me, you know, and I wanted it to be okay. I didn't want him to think I was interested in this flight attendant. I didn't want him to think that I would capable of cheating on him. I was in love with him. I wanted, you know, I just wanted things to be okay.
Let's take you to July 9, 2013. Did there come a time that you went for a ride you went to the Bahamas and went on a ride the yacht with Johnny and his kids?
Well, it's less like we flew out to the Bahamas to his island. He was selling the yacht to J.K. Rowling, and he wanted to kind of have a goodbye trip on the yacht. So it was docked off the island, and I went with him and his kids, who I had quickly developed a bond with and loved. And we brought a friend along with us, I think, to kind of help. And yeah.
Okay. Tell the jury what happened on that trip.
Johnny was upset that he had to sell the boat.
He
and
had?
was, off the wagon again, but he didn't want to tell his kids, so he was hiding it from them. He was putting it in coffee cups and drinking, and the behavior just kind of like, he was upset, he was emotional, and he just, you know, that's how he dealt with it. He'd just drink, but there's just no off button with Johnny. So he just kept drinking, and the behavior kept getting more obviously drunk. And Lily Rose, his daughter at the time, was young, just like maybe 14. And she started to get panicky and started to ask me questions about his drinking.
Objection, hearsay.
Without saying what Lily Rose was saying, please continue on.
Sustain the objection.
So she was asking me questions about the drinking and was very upset.
Sustain the objection.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't say what Lily Rose said.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you can tell gestures, you can tell, and you can say what you and Mr. Depp said, okay?
Sorry. So she was upset, and Johnny we were with the kids, and he kind of threw himself off the boat in a half playful way, like a dead fish kind of way. I don't know how to describe it, almost like a belly flop. But we were on a skip, like a smaller boat parked next to the yacht, and he's jumping. Well, he jumped off the front of it, but kind of in a face, chest forward way, like it looked a little scary, like not something somebody would do if they're completely okay. You know, it was.
He
started off all of us
jumped in the water.
off the edge of the yacht into the water, and then he, at one point, kind of throws himself over, and it looked a little scary. the way his body fell into the water, and Lily Rose started to cry and expressed to me that she
Objection,
was
hearsay.
upset.
Sustained.
You can't say what she said. You can tell expressions or observations.
She's kind of dumb.
So
Bro.
Lily Rose is crying, and then the crying becomes like a panic, like almost like a panic attack, like rapid breathing, crying, lots of questions. And I'm holding her, kind of comforting her, and Johnny comes in, and within a few seconds, I realize that he, kind of shifted his attention on me, and then he seemed very angry. He asked Lily Rose to leave. Lily Rose leaves, looks at me, leaves, crying, and Johnny, I don't remember the words he used, but starts accusing me of kind of like telling on him and calling him, a drunk in front of his kids. I hadn't done that. I was actually trying to protect Johnny. It didn't feel like my place at all to share that with his daughter or anyone at the time, other than adults who might help with it, but not his kids. So I was trying to tell him I was just trying to comfort her. I was trying to protect you. He basically was accusing me of doing this thing and of making them aware of his that he was drinking again. And he slams me up against the side wall of the bedroom of the we were in the bedroom this whole time, but up against the wall of the cabin, and slams me up by my neck and holds me there for a second and tells me that he could fucking kill me.
Oh.
And that was an embarrassment. I was embarrassing. It was embarrassment. This whole thing was a joke. All embarrassment. I made him feel sick. And I'll never forget. I'm very, very, very much in love with this whole family now. And he's saying I'm embarrassing to him. And that somehow stuck in me more than the I could fucking kill you. It just sounded like hyperbole. It sounded like something he was just saying, but the names that he was calling me were kind of just pushing me up against the wall by my neck, hurt my feelings. It hurt. When I saw Lily Rose again, we get, I won't say what she told me, but the next thing we do is we call for a helicopter to come and take us off of the boat, or off of the island. So we leave the boat, go to the landing of a part of the island, or maybe it was a different island we had to get to leave, and we take off. I'm holding Lily Rose literally holding her under my arm while she's crying, and we're lifting off. And Jack ended up not coming with us at the last minute. He stayed behind, and we were taking off. And I remember being really torn about leaving. I felt bad about leaving, even though that had happened. I still felt
What?
leaving. I felt
Yo,
like
you
I
are
felt like I had done something wrong.
not well,
He was
madam.
mad at me. I wasn't.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Or what I had done, but I remember not being, I'm getting all these text messages from him calling me all these names, and it barely coherent, barely, and I'm holding his daughter crying.
And let me just stop you for a moment. Michelle, can you pull up Defendant's Exhibit 180?
Do you believe that's already in?
It is already into evidence, Your Honor, so if we may publish it to the jury. And Amber, I'm going to ask you to take a look at 180. And this is text messages from Mr. Depp to you. Do you recall these?
Yes, I do.
And are these the text messages?
Yes, that's what he was sending me while I was taking care of his daughter.
Can we see the messages, please? Like, come on.
Your Honor, I'm about to go into another event. Should I keep going?
I mean, that's fine if you think this is a good point
This
to
is
break for
probably-
the day.
I think it's probably good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and conclude for today. Again, do not read anything about this case, do not do any outside research, and don't discuss it with anybody, okay? Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning, okay? Thank you.
That's kind of weird ending, I guess. What's the standing for? I don't care. Guess the jury and the judge are leaving. Okay, that's it for today. Wrong one. There we go. Hi.
And again, ma'am, since you're still in the stand, you cannot discuss your testimony with anybody to include your attorneys, okay? All right. Anything further before? All right, we'll see you in the morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm gonna save this text. So Johnny was sound bad. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. They're just trying to appeal that Amber is like a normal person, and that she was trying so hard to like make Johnny like heal, I guess, Johnny, and then just, you know, the guy relapsed multiple times and she was there and she got clapped, sadly. I'm not, I don't know, I still don't know what to think, to be honest. I mean, we'll see tomorrow, I guess. So